actually just really looking forward to seeing what Hammers are going to bring to the table, because if they were able to 2-0 Immortals, then they must have just figured something out in this past week.
This has to be a different Hammers to what we've been seeing in the Vainglory8 so far. I'm exceptionally excited to see what they have to bring to the table. Banning away Lyra to start things off. This is already a fairly different ban strategy to what we've seen at a lot of the teams so far, Dragonborn.
This is interesting. I mean, they do end up getting the Baron ban. They got an easy Grace pick, and Lyra's already off the table. So that does force Tribe into something like a Vox. They're going to actually ban the Grace. Hammers is going to have their choosing of what carry they want. Unless they decide to go, they could go with the Vox here or the Baron. Both are very strong laners for starting all over.
Yeah, lots of available options right here. Obviously, if you go for that Baron, there is an Idris available for your opponents. There are ways to play around the Baron, but realistically, even with the Idris, it's not often that we see Baron shut down. You know, even when you get that counter pick, it's still very easy to just run away with things on that Baron. Glaive going to be the first pick, though. This isn't a first pick we see often.
Not at all. Definitely a bit of a surprise here with Baron available and Idris to go for the Glaive instead. It definitely speaks volumes to Hammers either wanting to heavily prioritize this or feeling like it's something that can counter the Baron and or the Idris.
Yeah, this is really kind of like a soft flex pick where they're not trying to give away their composition. Starting all over, by the way, is a fantastic Glaive, and we've seen it banned away from him several times. Baron's going to come out on Tribe. This has been Mixi's strongest laner, so it's a little worrisome for Hammers to allow that over to Tribe so easily.
Yeah, not banning the Idris, though. That's an interesting one coming out there. They are going to ban away the Kestrel, so that Idris will still be open as a pick available for Hammers later on in the draft. What do we think to that? Is it important that you have to ban the Idris there, or is that not as important as I'm giving it credit for?
I think because of the Glaive, the Idris is a really strong counter to Baron when it's a weapon Idris, not so much when it's a crystal Idris. So because the Glaive is already there, I feel like Tribe are going to be taking the risk in saying that we're pretty sure it's going to be a weapon Glaive because no one is running that CP cooldown Glaive that we used to see. So I think they're just going to take the risk and let the Idris go through and assume that Hammers are not looking to pick that one up.
All right, well, Grumpjaw will be found once as well. And that, I mean, we're already looking at, like, the start of the season. These were the two power picks, right? Baron and Grumpjaw. We've seen Grumpjaw significantly less successful later on in the season, but still, if you can use it correctly, can have huge impact on games. Idris is going to come through in the end alongside that Glaive.
Well, they could be flexing this Glaive as a support, which we've seen less and less. But like I said, it's a soft flex, so they could have done this and maybe baited in. I'm surprised just out of caution we didn't see Tribe ban the Idris there. That's interesting.
It could still be a CP Idris, or it could even be the double weapon. We've seen more and more teams starting to pick up the double weapon. Usually, oh, well, that's going to put an end to that one.
Now, it could be Captain Glaive, or we have seen Captain Koshka. Like, I'm just saying, TSM did it. And we've seen a lot of other teams copy TSM. I think it's most likely the Captain Glaive, though. I am kind of memeing just a little bit. How do you finish out the composition with Tribe here?
I think you go for something that can run as your captain instead of the Grumpjaw. You don't really want the Grumpjaw to be the captain. They are going to pick up the Ardent. I really hope that this ends up being a double weapon from Tribe because, again, the Crystal Power Grumpjaw just does not have the same sort of effect once you get into the late game. And if you have this double weapon, you should be able to just run over the Idris and the Koshka and even the Glaive. Like, all three of them, none of them are super tanky. You have a little bit of durability from the Glaive, and whichever one decides to run as the captain will have a little bit of durability. But other than that, the double weapon, I feel like, should run really well into this composition.
All right, so very aggressive early game. What's your read on this draft, Dragonborn? Where do you think these teams are going to be going?
I think Tribe got backed into an interesting hole. They've got the Baron, so late game is their priority. Arden should be able to create separation, but now that's kind of them playing more of like, all right, what are we going to be thrown at? Like, what are they throwing at us? Let's try to play off that. Honestly, with the Baron, I think Tribe has this strong laner that Mixi's played very well. And if they continue that trend, I think they're going to be able to have a decent time against Hammers. But this draft from Hammers is very unique. We're not sure who's going to be the support yet, and it could be something that counters this Baron well.
All right, well, we'll see if they can counter the Baron. That's been a question on many Vainglory8 teams. And speaking of Vainglory8, that is the hashtag you can use to get in touch on social media. Let us know who you want to take this series. Can Tribe get themselves a series on the board? Hammers have upset Immortals. Let's see if they can get a second win under their belt. Let's pass it to the casters.
Thanks, guys. My name is George, joined by AJ, third series of the night. And that news, AJ, that Hammers have beaten Immortals 2-0, the day of upsets, clearly, as they do get onto the fold versus Tribe Gaming. Needs to unmute his mic, though. That would be the best course of action thus far. But I will carry on.
There we go. There we go. All right.
He got it.
So, what I was saying with a lot of passion and enthusiasm was the fact that it would be really quite insane, or it was really quite insane, rather, that they took down Immortals after we saw Immortals earlier today perform so outstandingly well. I mean, it's not as if Immortals looked weaker than anticipated heading into today. So Hammers, I think, sound very scary. How they look, we're about to see. Tribe, this is a strong team, though. Let's not rule them out. Starting all over, already taking a lot of damage.
Oh, jump jets forward, starting all over. Might just go down here. Status is going to chase him down and find the first blood. Okay, he's going to follow up with another kill, though. They're going to trade 1-4 on Afro. It's going to afterburn in, just get stunned up. Mixi, though, is just hammering away at him. I've got a feeling Afro may have DC'd. That is extremely unfortunate. Mixi picks up the kill, though, and Archaic is going to base there. Tribe take that fight 2-1.
Yeah, very nice play by Tribe going in that early when you're playing with Baron. And you know, Arden is not necessarily that expected, but it can work very nicely when you're backed up by that weapon Grumpjaw, who does so much work early in the game. Hammers, we just asked the question, or posed the question, are they going to be able to have that performance from earlier again? You know, did they really look that amazing against Immortals? Well, in this game, already you can see them maybe overextending a little bit, perhaps not realizing just how risky things are going to get if they do. Tribe does have a lot of damage here.
Oh, they do. That Baron as well, we spoke about it, or at least the desk spoke about it. I'm not going to take credit for that one. They said if they get to late game, this double weapon power from Mixi and Status could run all over Hammers, in all honesty. There's not very many tanky members. With Afro going in this glaive, you're going to imagine he's going to build a bit of armor, yes, but Archaic's going to be in a lot of trouble, and same with starting if Mixi can just free hit them.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely something to consider here. Oh, Status.
Status in a lot of trouble. Archaic even. He's got to early death. E36 caught out, though. Nowhere to go as that Arden does end up falling here to Afro. Takes a wrench from earlier. Status is going to just dash back. Oh, Hangry over the wall. He's going to steal it. He got it. He's got that little bit of healing, but they might just run him down for that one. That was a little bit over-aggressive, and already both teams at each other's throats.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting. Lots of aggression from these teams, but perhaps not as carefully checked as it needs to be sometimes. And by the same token, the other teams perhaps not anticipating it or reacting appropriately in all situations. This is definitely a game where both comps can do this kind of...
Mixi just gets redirected by Afro. That afterburn was something of pure beauty. Now E36 is just left lost.
Yeah, that was really, really solid stuff there. I love the fact that he just went extremely aggressive and tried to make that play happen, but at the same time, make sure you gotta wait for backup from your teammates, right? Very, very risky to just go for it like that.
Goodness. Well, 4-2. We are 6 kills in at 4 minutes. This is what I wanted to see throughout the couple of games. Afro, though, he's found Status in his jungle. He does end up securing at least one of those smaller back camps. Now E36 is going to use that Vanguard to get out of there, but starting all over, doing what he should do, is just taking the backs now of Tribe. But this is the point in the game where as soon as that Grumpjaw picks up that tension bow, it's all fight. And in fact, starting all over is going to meet the brunt of that damage. That'll be Status just almost taking him out. Does dash over the wall, but he's in a lot of trouble. It's going to get flared out. Mixi in a lot of trouble, though. Twirly death is going to be enough to secure the kill. And now Archaic actually decides they want to kill on the board for themselves. E36 and Status, they want to try and find something here. Status dashing over that wall. Archaic taking a fair bit of damage. That auto attack will end up finishing him off. A 1-for-1 trade overall.
Rather the different pace when you look at this game with the Koshka compared to the one earlier on, I have to say. It seems to be doing a lot more work, but that being said, again, you gotta be careful against Status, who's got a lot of damage early on here. going a little bit too deep. I believe he stole away the camp as well. Hammers, how are they fighting this?
I don't know how they're fighting this, because Tribe is easily dealing with him. There comes the Hangry, there comes the Fountain Teeth starting all over up. Afro still chopping away. Okay, wants an entrance into that fight. He finds McShee. McShee's just going to get run down. Twirly death. He hasn't got Yummy Catnip Frenzy, but look at status now on starting all over. Just gets the kill. We're 9 kills in for 5 minutes. I can't get my head around it, AJ. I'm not going to lie to you. Something is going on in this game. They just want blood. No CS, only kills from only kill gold from kills, that is. They even lose my words here.
Yeah, that was an interesting fight. I feel like Hammers wasn't always all on the same page. Excuse me. They were going for lots of different targets. They're trying to pressure on status. They're trying to pressure on Mishi. I think in that juncture, you kind of just need to commit to one, except that maybe it's going to be a trade because you're the one starting a fight when maybe you shouldn't be, and try and find something off the back of that trade. But they didn't really. They went for the whole pie. They tried to have their cake and eat it too. It's too much.
Way too much, especially for that Grumpjaw. Although he has found starting again, has got the stuff available. He's found him in his belly. He's going to now dash back. Afro trying to relocate him, but it's not going to work. Status underneath the turret is going to be able to dash away. That Fountain being really big for them, but Status is still chasing. Now Mixie's going to get jumped on. Archaic finds the back line. Status can't find the last basic attack on starting all over. Cannot secure that kill, but still hunting for more. He's still a hungry Grumpjaw after all. Playboy Afro does manage to get out alive. Same with starting all over and managed to make it back to base. And now Archaic is going on to Mixie. Nice use of the reflex block there to delete a lot of that damage, but Archaic still going to find him after that Yummy Catnip Frenzy did end up landing. Status is going to dive on in though and swallow a kitty cat hole.
Right before that fight, I was going to say the big difference for these two teams is that on the side of Hammers, Archaic's going out of the back line, but he can't actually find the kills. On the side of Tribe, Status going in the back line, but he's able to do the damage. That fight for the first time kind of reversed it. We'll see though, Status wants more.
Oh, he always wants a fight here, but he isn't going to be able to find it this time. Starting all over. He's been base. I think he's been back to base more time than I've had hot dinners at this point, AJ.
He may well have been. He's certainly doing a lot of that right now.
Well, we'll see what Tribe want to do next. McShee has got that Sorrow Blade. You can imagine he's working towards a tension bow or maybe a breaking point for that matter. Archaic's going to be able to steal, well, at least try to steal one of those camps away from Status, but he is a big hungry Grumpjaw and will just chew them up for himself. Now, let's look where they want to fight. I mean, they've been fighting already so much, and that's perfect for Archaic, but Mixie is just getting more and more fed by the second here.
He is indeed. Mixie on that Baron, you got to keep in mind how scary things can get when a Baron gets out of hand in the early game. We've actually seen it plenty of times from Hammers, of all people. So they know. They know what they're dealing with here. That might actually be why they're trying so hard to make plays happen, right? I do think that they need to be afraid of some of these dicey situations, though, because if Mixie gets out of hand, they don't have an answer.
Well, they do not. I mean, the only answer I can think of, they can just jump all in on the Baron, hope he dies, and then back off. But with E36 for backup, even Status to kind of sit in the front line, it can be a very dangerous situation for them. And late, oh, here's Mixie though. That tension bow doing a lot of damage. Someone gets stuffed already. See you later. Yummy Catnip Frenzy is going to get completely blocked. Playboy Afro underneath the turret, but already E36 falls. Iron Cannon's going to come down. There comes the leap forward as well from Mixie. Can't quite find the kill on Playboy Afro. And there comes Archaic just dashing, dipping, ducking, darting around. Starting all over, gets jumped on, finally goes down. And if only you had a flare over that wall, Mixie, that could have been another couple of kills. But only trading 1-for-1 in that messy engagement, Archaic and Playboy Afro get out alive.
Wow, what an intense fight. You can really... This is a very high-octane game, and I love how risky both teams are playing. But man, at a certain point, one of these fights is going to be past the 10-minute mark and actually matter a bit more. Like right now, these fights, yes, they matter, but... Look at the gold. 200 between them, right? The fights are pretty even, etc., etc. The problem is later, there's going to be objectives you can leverage. So I'd expect to see actually things calm down a little bit sometime soon. I think it kind of needs to. Although Mixie, he's already hitting for 418 crits on starting. I think Hammers are definitely the ones in a bit of a dicier position.
Yeah, most definitely. The stars are twinkling, but this time it looks like Tribe are getting theirs on the Hall of Fame. Hammers, yeah, they did win out Immortals here, AJ, but Can they win out against Tribe? A bit more of a scrappier team. Starting all over has been stuffed again, and this is going to be Mikshi's playground. Starting all over jumps into the back line, but already almost falls. Gauntlet's going to get lane bare. There comes the ultimate from the Koshka. Can't not quite find a kill onto Mikshi, but starting all over goes down regardless. Status is still going to chase Playboy Afro out of there. Archaic still trying to find an exit. Iron Cannon's going to come down. It's not going to quite find the kill, but Status doesn't find the kill on Afro. Cannot quite land the last basic attack on Archaic, who does just manage to scamper out alive.
Man, all right, that's what I was talking about. Mikshi, he's starting to really just do a bit too much damage for any real response to come in from Hammers. It's very difficult to get on top of him. You've got Grumpjaw and Arden protecting him. They offer a lot of offense in the early game. You know, Arden can catapult Grumpjaw in. Grumpjaw's got a lot of damage. But really what matters is that later on here, we are seeing just, you know, straight Mikshi doing the work. His team's backing him up.
You know what's the best thing about playing a hyper carry? When your team sits on top of you and makes sure you don't die. That is the best thing about Baron right now. And Mikshi has done just that. He's 2-3-3, with Status having a majority of the kills. Has even gone more burst damage. He's got that Aftershock in his back pocket as well. That peeling camp will go over to Status, and now Hammers maybe looking for a play underneath this turret. Mikshi prioritizing that early reflux block, and rightfully so. He's just going to be building up more and more damage, and Hammers now in a dicey situation like you mentioned earlier. Even infusions coming out this early is something we're used to seeing now, AJ. The Status wants to fight, and he wants to fight now.
Man, it's been a while since I've seen Grumpjaw just wrecking people.
Oh, Status might just get a little bit wrecked there. The player Afro is going to get eaten once again. That's an Iron Cannon onto two people. Mikshi in the front line now this time. Still manages to kill one, though. How is he still alive? There we go. Starting all over finally finds the kill. He was so low for so long, but finally Hammers nail him down to the floor. Now Tribe. They are on a 2v1. Status very low. Save E36. Archaic goes over the wall. That is a nice gauntlet just to make sure Starting can't finish off that kill. Archaic almost followed that one up as well. Status going in. Just one-shots him. Archaic goes in. He finds the double kill though with the twirly death. Ace for Hammers just about as Mikshi spawns.
Oh man, I know that they really wanted to pick up a kill there, but I can't help but feel like waiting the 2 seconds you would have needed for Vanguard. If you're going to make that play, would have been the right thing to do. It was very overly bold coming in from the side of Tribe, and you know, this could end up really biting them in the butt. They were in a great position. Now though, we're seeing Archaic get a huge influx of gold. He's picking up a Broken Myth. They've got pressure on the map. They can get vision down. This is how games get out of hand when you're ahead, and you kind of lose that lead.
Well, the old tale goes, AJ. When there's money in the bank, playing Baron's pretty easy. And now Tribe. That's how it goes. That's the old wives' tale. Now Tribe are going to push down this lane as they make that Baron play once again. He is more than enough protected at this moment in time. That Monocle as well is going to provide a lot of extra damage, a lot of extra oomph. Their first initial engage. Now, what can Hammers really do, AJ? What can they actually do to follow this game up? Because they are managing 5 picks. You can see the score, 10-10. Turrets, 4-4 left. Even the gold, just about even. But it just seems like Tribe are just getting an edge in these engagements.
They are for the time being. They gotta keep doing that, though. And that last fight was a good example of how Hammers can punish, you know, mistakes. Mikshi, yeah, sure. He's on 3 items. It's only 13 minutes in. That's pretty crazy. But at the same time, Akashka's still Akashka. You know, Akashka's still going to burst you down very, very fast. I want to see E36 focus more on keeping Mikshi safe. I kind of want to see the same thing from Status. There's plenty of frontline targets he can take down without having to jump on the back line and try and deal with Starting.
There's Status. He does gobble up, starting all over again. It's a permanent illy in his belly at the moment. Gauntlet does come down. Mikshi on the right side of the fight this time. Archaic is going to get a twirly death. He's going to find Status. The first blood goes over to Hammers. And now can they do anything more? There we go. They chew through the team eventually. And Ace comes through as quick as you can blink. And now Hammers are going to force this lane. They're going to force the gold miner. And these are the fights they were looking for.
Yeah, Hammers has firmly managed to get themselves back in the driver's seat here. This is the kind of explosive thing that can happen, as I said, when you've got something like that, Koshka. It really has bought a lot of space for Hammers to allow Starting all over to get on the target he needs to, for Playboy Afro to find good knockbacks without being necessarily the main target priority of Tribe and just dying straight away. So, yeah, really nice stuff, although Starting getting eaten like that.
That's another stuff. Starting all over has been chewed up once more. He's just going to get bursted out here. I think Mikshi's going to be able to find that fast auto attack. Nope. Status steals it away. Oh man, scumbag jungler. That's what that is. You want Mixie ahead, not Status. That's what I say as a laner anyway. Mixie now just farming up this lane, and that Kraken has spawned. I mean, starting all over, it's got a 15-second death timer here. We'll see if they want to make anything, any more use of that. I mean, Status does look like he's actually rotating towards this Kraken now, and Baron's going to start it up too. So Tribe, they might just take this one away for free.
They might. Honestly, I don't know if it's going to be easy for Hammers to return fire here. Archaic and Playboy do have the ability to maybe just go for the steal, though. They have certainly a lot of damage to work with very quickly.
Oh, we'll see who goes down. Iron Cannon does come through. That's a steal. No, it's not. Tribe actually secure. I got ahead of myself. Now Playboy Arrow is a little bit ahead of himself as well. Fountain's going to get popped from Tribe, but guess who has spawned? It's starting all over. Can he make anything work here? Archaic's fought between E36 and Status, but does manage to just pounce away on one of those minions. Tribe are all going to recall now as the Kraken does march down towards the lane just to refill their health bars.
All right, let's see if after their health comes back, they can actually get to this Kraken in time. I don't really think they're going to be able to. And at this point, that kind of makes this maybe a bit of a mistake to go for the Kraken. You're giving away 500 gold, and you're getting nothing off the back of it, except for pressure on the map. Like,
man, starting all over. He has no chance. Gauntlet goes down as well. He's completely isolated. Exactly what Tribe's composition want to do. Starting all over is going to go down. And I can imagine it's going to go over to Status. There we go. Steals the kill again. But hey ho. Mixie's going to still be pretty happy at this point. Left pretty much uncontested at the back lines. Playing their composition to a T. They're going to tank up that turret. They got no worries. Iron Cannon comes down. There goes another one. They're going to tie up the score 3-3 in terms of turrets.
Wow, starting all over getting eaten there was real bad. I think he might not have had Aegis. Is certainly on cooldown now, so I think probably he didn't have access to that one. But at the same time, where was the Crucible from Playboy? Where was the positioning? Didn't need to be standing on that side of Kraken to be hitting it, right? Very, very dicey stuff. Hammers and Tribe going very back and forth in this game. I certainly am still of the belief that either team could just win a fight and then win the game at this point. It's getting pretty late next Kraken spawn, honestly, if they win a convincing fight, and most of the fights have been convincing, they've been like 3 kills or what have you, then a big push is going to come across. So either team can do it. It's all about getting good vision down. Mixie having his 4th item here is big, but he's a little bit behind on like getting his boot super high and getting a lot of defense. He will die very quickly to Archaic if Archaic can get on top of him.
That's a big if, I think. And if we look back at the earlier game, do we want to look back? I don't know if they actually want to start a fight. Or starting all over does dash forward. Status is going to go in. Does use that hangry. That's a lot of damage. That's already a Crucible popped, actually. As it might be actually pretty big. Mixie's still on the back line, just kiting for days. There comes the War Treads. Here comes Archaic on the back line now. 20 down from 3 people. There comes the Yummy Cannon Frenzy. He's going to get completely blocked. That 4 or 5 HP does him wonders of good. And that'll mean Status just leaves him completely dead on the floor. And now starting all over, just pushing forward. Hammers come up really big, or in fact, Archaic does. Perfect itemization, it seems, just to deal with Mixie.
Felt like Archaic came out of nowhere at the end of the fight there. Still full health. Status not maybe doing... there we go. He's going to go down too. Status maybe not doing his job entirely of actually either zoning out Archaic or putting enough pressure on the front line to help get the kill. I think he thought that Mixie had starting all over. He decided to reposition, refocus, and did it a bit too early. As a result, Mixie just didn't have the support he needed. Tribe were not playing that fight necessarily as a cohesive unit the way that they needed to, and now Kraken is at risk of going the way of Hammers.
Kraken's on the board for Hammers. Oh my goodness, will he ever stop eating people? Apparently he will, because he's just going to die. Hammers, they take out 1. I mean, E36 has got 5 minutes left on the counter. This is a free Kraken for them. You can see Mixie running with his tail between his legs, or his rocket launcher on his back, as it were. And now Hammers, they take the Kraken. They're going to march down the lane. Mixie... didn't want to show yourself. You were a little bit caught out there, buddy. He's going to just leap over the wall, but starting all over is going to follow him. That is a very, very big misstep there.
Idris is really good in the Baron just because of the ultimate. You know, if they're trying to jump away from you, good luck with that. You're going to follow real easily. They actually pick up status 2 here. This is really rough. I think, you know, a big difference here, right? In the Kraken pushes, Hammers did not need to back first. They haven't given up anything to actually take this, and now they can get even more.
Exactly what they're doing. That Kraken's sitting pretty healthy as well. Hammers are going to be pretty happy with themselves. Status wants more, just eating Starting All Over. Can he deliver him to the base? Yes, he can. Can Starting All Over get out? Almost goes down. E36 popping those ward treasures, punching away, but it's not going to be enough. That fountain's going to be there to heal him up. Nice gauntlet. Stuns 1, stuns 2, stuns 3. Tribe, they still have a way into this game. That Kraken still knocking on their turrets, though. It will go down eventually, but that's going to be a lot of damage to their base. It's completely opened up now, and this might just be Hammer's game to take.
Playboy Afro must be so triggered right now. He used Echo to get a second afterburn onto someone so that Starting All Over could actually leave the enemy sanctuary, and then he still dies. That's brutal, man. But still, I mean, great plays coming out of Hammers. Yeah, you know, some Starting All Over died at some point, but what's on the map, right? Like, what does Tribe get back for that exchange? They don't get anything. There's no Kraken on the map. They're very far away, and it's very unsafe for them to go into the enemy jungle, steal away camps, or maybe go for the sentry. Starting All Over's only got 7 seconds left on his respawn, too. Things are resetting very nicely for Hammers here. They've got momentum to close this game out. Even though Mixi has scaled very effectively, I really don't think he's getting the level of backup from his team that they need in fights. You know, Status, he's going very aggressive. Like, he's using Stuffed to set up fights rather than set up Mixi. And at this point in the game, setting up Mixi is just more important.
Well, we know you've got the kill status. We know. Everybody does know that. But Mixi, he's the late game damage. Now, will they be able to make another engagement here? We'll have to wait and see as their Afterman does come over the wall. Status is going to find Starting All Over once again. Mixi free hitting on the back line once again, though. Arcade just doesn't go down instantly. Mixi, this might be a big problem for him. I'm counting down onto 2, 3 people. And there goes Playboy Afro out of the fight. Starting All Over still in it, though. In it to win it. Status is just going to get chomped up. And now E36 and Starting All Over. Ooh, the Crystal Sentry finish him off. Not quite. Tribe and Hammers, they do end up trading 2 for 2. And Mixi had the perfect setup there, but Starting All Over comes up big.
That feel when the only reason you don't get a 1v3 ace at the end is because the sentry's wailing on you. That's brutal. Starting All Over could have had that if not for the sentry. I think the damage from E36 was minuscule and very, very much not enough to actually get the kill. That being said, Starting All Over, he's actually going in and keeping the pressure on here. I don't see him getting turret, though. We got 10 seconds left. Maybe
AJ, please. Of course he's going to get the turret. There we go. There goes the crystal as well. Will he be able to do it? Mixi's back up. You are correct. E36 just trying all his might. Can Starting All Over do it? He dives over the crystal, gets the last hit, and that will be Hammers taking the first game in this best of 3.
So to be clear, I didn't expect him to get the turret, not because I didn't think he could take it, but because I didn't think he'd try with Mixi coming up so soon. But he did, and he won the game. Right on.
Underestimation of Hammers. The stars are in their
Immortals
eyes.
did it, maybe?
Oh my goodness. They run over Immortals, and it was a close game versus Tribe, but what can game number 2? What has that got in store for us? My heart needs a little bit of rest. Munch, you can take it away.
You know what, guys? I don't think Tribe expected that to happen either. They were not ready for that final push, and it worked. They managed to end the game in the end. Hammers taking this one, and this game was the definition of an absolute bloodbath. Like, I mean, where do we even start with that?
I don't even know. That was unbelievable. I mean, Starting All Over, having the wherewithal to go for the end of there. It's so risky. It's so risky to do, but it pays off.
Yeah, I mean, let's start with some of these earlier game fights. Dragon Ball, do you want to run me through a couple of these replays? Because this was so messy.
Oh, this was a back and forth, an absolute brawler. We saw a lot of really, really close plays. Archaic and Afro were fantastic, actually. Starting All Over, not playing really well for most of the early part of the game. Baron, obviously, pretty tough, even though going into an Idris. But there was some fights, very timely fountains here to keep the team alive. You see Afro right here. They get very low. He's able to fountain just in the nick of time and able to pull in. This is basically avoiding what was near ace, although they do end up losing that fight somewhat in trade. Here again, these gauntlets by E36 were fantastic. They were really, really well placed almost in every single fight. But Archaic was unbelievable this game. I mean, he really played one of the best games we've seen all season.
Yeah, Archaic has definitely stepped up for these challenge battles, and Hammers now with a 3rd win on the board. If they can finish off this series, they'll be looking at a 4-0 scoreline, which definitely, like, my personal opinion, I was not expecting them to
not
come
at
in
all.
with this ridiculously great performance into the Challenge Battles.
Not at all. They were one of the teams I had pegged to be knocked out of the Vainglory8. I did not expect them to put up much of a fight, really, against these challenger teams, but they have completely proved us wrong. I mean, this was such an insane game. So close in this final fight. Everyone was clumped up. I thought for sure that the Baron was just going to go to town, and he did. I mean, he took out everyone but starting all over, and then starting all over, again, just having the wherewithal to not recall, to stick around, to go and get himself the treant, and then able to end the game. I don't know how you can comfortably make that decision to go for that play, but it pays off.
I mean, I don't think the question is how you can make that comfortably. I don't think you can ever make that comfortably. I think that is probably the most uncomfortable decision of your career at that point, but he made it and it worked, and now they are 1-0 up in the series. So now looking towards the second game in the series, is there anything you can change for the side of Tribe here? Because I don't feel like this was Tribe making a mistake. I feel like this was Hammers just taking tiny advantages each time and eventually turning that into more.
I feel like there is something that Tribe can change, and that was this Grumpjaw pick in the jungle and the way that they built it. They went for this on-hit Grumpjaw that we've seen a lot of teams try and run with. It doesn't have much impact beyond the early game. Like the mid game, it kind of has a little bit, but then once you get to late game, it falls off so heavily. And I want to see Status on something that can get an early game lead and snowball it. Like something like a Koshka, for example. I would love to see Status on, because I feel like if Status steps up, that's the biggest problem for Tribe right now. Is Status, did not have a CS lead, did not have a huge kill lead. He got beat in the jungle by Archaic at pretty much every turn, and that's something that needs to change for Tribe going forward.
I mean, what are your thoughts on this upcoming draft, Dragon Ball? Where do you want them to go?
You really gave Tribe a pretty good recipe for success there. You gave them the Baron, and Mixi's pretty good on that Baron. I mean, starting all over and company, the whole team at Hammers showed up here today, and that's a really scary thing. I really do think that, if you get the Baron again, obviously you take it, but Tasty's absolutely right. It's got to start in the jungle. Status needs to step up his game. His team really is counting on him at this point, and he needs to be that over-aggressive, sometimes focusing on kills versus CS, and it can cost him in the late game. You're not really taking that gold lead. You're keeping it too close. So this draft, I'm going to be really watching on the jungle for Status. I think he needs to step up to something a little bit stronger.
We'll see whether he can step up on this one. It's definitely feels that's got to be a really difficult loss to come back from Tribe, because it was such a close game, and if I was a Tribe player right now, I'd feel a little bit robbed coming off of the back of that loss, and now they've got to kind of reset that mentality, get to a fresh state of mind coming into this second game of the series. And you can see that they're very clearly building an entire plan for the draft, not just trying to figure out this first ban, but looking at where they anticipate this draft going, using a lot of that bonus time to plan things out here.
Or they're not connected to the draft client.
That either. We'll have to wait and see. I would hope that
usually the first ban, if it takes this long, it's because of an issue with the getting connected to the client, but it's looking more and more likely the further this clock ticks down. But like you said, though,
they were just thinking about it.
Wow. Okay.
There you go. Turns out some teams do think about their draft pick.
That is a long time to spend.
But
on
as
your
I
first
say,
ban,
like, it's important to it's not just considering your first ban, it's considering the repercussions of your first ban and what your actions are going to be because of that. Dragon Ball, what are your thoughts on these two bans?
Well, we talked about the Baron pick. I think Tribe still takes the Baron pick here. I think it's the right call as well. We may then see, of course, Hammers pick up the Idris again. Starting all over actually struggled into the Baron with the Idris play, but late game, it did start to feel its pressure, so maybe that's the risk. Clearly, Tribe is thinking about this. They did run out of time. I think we're going to be getting a reset here.
Okay. RIP, draft client. He will be missed. All right, well, at least those first two bans will be locked in. We'll restart this one, but the Grace and the Lyra will be the locked-in first bans, and then we should be able to get things on the go once again. What would you anticipate this first pick being? Like, would you be bold enough to pick up the Baron here?
I think they need to be. As Dragon Ball was mentioning, they're not going to, though. They're going to go for the Vox. I think the Baron would have been the right pick. Mixi's very good on that hero. if they answer with the Idris for starting, like Dragonmore was mentioning, in that last game, starting over was struggling against the Baron. So I'm a little bit confused as to why they didn't go for it, but we'll see if they can make the Vox work a little bit better.
Yeah, obviously confident that they have an answer to the Baron, allowing that to potentially go over to Hammers, but the Kestrel will be the pickup alongside a Catherine ban. But Hammers very quickly go through that pick and that ban.
Yeah, they definitely feel like they were totally okay with Mixie playing the Baron, which was a little bit of a surprise. But that being said, once the Vox came out, I like to see this Kestrel pick. This could be flexed either way, but, you know, Starting All Over and Archaic are both very, very confident Kestrel players.
Looks like it is going to be Starting All Over on the Kestrel, because with the Samuel, you have to assume that will be Archaic's pick in the jungle. So Baron not going to get picked up at all here in this draft with the Celeste selection for status, assumedly for status. I don't see that going into the lane with a jungle Vox. Not
seems
likely pick.
unlikely. Seems unlikely. Now the captain picks the final two. That's something we don't see all too often, that both final picks are the captains. Finn going to be the lock-in for Tribe, and now Hammers, they just have to finish out this composition. They have an entire minute of time still available to work with as they want to finish this one out.
This is an interesting support pick because you really have a poke-heavy composition. Kestrel and Samuel. Finn's a great front line if you've got some people trying to push through you. You've got like a melee jungler, but with this range, poke-heavy jungle and lane, I feel like Finn's just going to run into a lot of trouble here throughout the game.
Well, that's going to be fine, though, for Tribe. If you have Finn just being this huge front line, Samuel's not going to be able to get damage past him. Assuming that Vox and Celeste are both staying behind him, you know, the Samuel or the Kestrel are going to have difficulty getting onto the Vox and the Celeste. I think both teams might kind of run into a similar issue because it is all range in this one. There really isn't a whole lot of hard engage for either team.
Yeah, it's all very defensive on both sides of the ball. We could have a bit of a stalemate when we get towards the mid/late game on who wants to engage and how you actually go about engaging. So what are our thoughts on the early game then? What is the plan for these two teams right at the start of the game, Dragonborn?
Oh, I think you bully the Celeste and Finn in the jungle right away, and I think we could know Archaic and Afro can do that. I think if you do that, put Celeste behind, you definitely give success for Hammers, but the Celeste play scales great. We've seen him play Pond. The original just showed us, and he showed us many times before. I do like the Celeste pick, but you've got to be extra careful. Finn, you know, we kind of expect those forced accords to be blocked, but, you know, Afro, we haven't seen him go up against it a lot. If he misses one of those, that could be a huge tipping point for Tribe as well.
Okay. Yeah, and with that level 2 power spike is going to be so important for the Samuel. They're going to have to go in with the Arden, cause a little bit of disruption, allow the Samuel to hit level 2 first, and then try and invade right off the bat. That early play, the first couple plays of the game, are going to be so crucial to setting the tone and setting the pace.
Absolutely. We'll see if they can set the tone, if they can set the pace. It's time to get on into this game. Hashtag Vainglory8 on Twitter to let us know whether you're a Hammers fan or whether you're one of the Tribe. But it's time to get on into potentially the final game of the day. If Hammers can take it, they will be on through to the Vainglory8. But Tribe are going to take it to it.
Thank you very much, guys. And yeah, it could be potentially the last game here, AJ. But, I mean, Munch mentioned stalemate, and I'm not entirely sure if the teams know what that word actually means.
Somehow I think it's unlikely. That last game was a huge bloodbath. We're already seeing aggression in this one, Juz.
I mean, why not? Mixie going fairly low now. Has to actually pop a potion as Starting All Over. Did manage to take away that healing camp. Hollywood Hammers, they really, really want to make sure Tribe know their place in this game. And, well, like Bacon said, 4 ranged carries here for either team. Not either team, that could make 8. That's a ridiculous number, but 2 for each would make the correct amount. And now that's insane coming into this, because both these teams last time just head-to-head all the time. I want to see how Archaic's actually going to do on this Samuel, though.
Yeah, I think the Samuel pickup could be a make-or-break one, actually, for the side of Hammers. If Samuel is able to stay out of threat range of the Finn and, you know, make it difficult for Mixie to get on the back line and apply pressure, sure, this could work really nicely. But at the same time, if he mispositions, if he doesn't have the reflex block at the right time, if he moves too close with his Drifting Dark to Mixie and Mixie just sonics him on the back line, blows him up with some breaking point stacks, those are all situations where it doesn't work. So it really does require Archaic to play very smartly and very skilled. We'll see if he's able to do that. Hopefully Playboy Afro able to patch up any mistakes with a good Vanguard to give him the boost out of there, or in Gauntlet. Starting all over as well. He's on this Kestrel. This is an interesting pick. Definitely one that he's had some success on in the past. I think that it's a pick that can threaten something like a Celeste if you're very, very good with it, just because you can really make it difficult for them to know exactly where you're going to strike from, and you do a lot of damage up front. Doesn't really give Status a lot of time to set the fight up correctly with a core collapse or position appropriately. But at the same time, you don't have a lot of mobility. Core collapse is a big AoE. If you're not on the ball, starting over could have a very tough time here.
I mean, speaking of status then, let's touch on this guy real quick. Last time, he picked up that Grumpjaw, he built Tension Bow, he built the Aftershock, he wanted to one-shot somebody through and through, and now he's on a completely different style of hero on this Celeste who loves to sit back, hit Heliogenesis over and over again. My worry is he's going to tap boots, run in there thinking he's Grumpjaw. But, that might happen. We're not sure. We'll have to wait and see. But how is he actually going to influence the team fights? Because, again, it's such a long-range matchup.
It is, but what you've got to think about is the team as a whole, although...
Hang on a second. Yes, starting off with a lot of trouble. Active camo was big. Mixi made it bigger, though. They did trade 1-for-1. Absolutely devastation now as Status comes back into the lane. Playboy Afro had to use those boots to get away. Luckily, Status doesn't have his available, at least lucky for Hammers.
That could have been a little bit better, obviously, if they were able to get the kill without starting dying. But it was close. They nearly made it happen. That was an incredible stun. Talking about the range here coming out of Status, what you've got to think about when you're looking at Tribe's comp is not, all right, long range because two long-range heroes. You got to think about what range they're actually effective in, right? And they actually have something for every range. They're a team that can really beat you no matter where you're sitting. Because Vox is pretty good when it comes to mid and short range combat. Celeste is pretty good at mid and long range combat. And Finn is really, really good at close range combat. Can also be effective in the mid range, and if you land a hook, great at the long range. So they can execute no matter where they're sitting. Even if Status is far in the back, he can still do things. And even if he's close, he can still just provide a stun to let Mixi start raining down some pain, potentially. We are seeing both teams coming towards the lane here. Very early for a Finn team to be wanting to fight. I think he's just here to protect his teammates. Although, nice
core
stun.
collapse, though. Playboy Afro has to play a little bit farther back now. However, that Drifting Dark is going to chunk Mixi down. And speaking of chunking him down, almost falls that Gauntlet. Almost coming down as well. I mean, that Fountain even just healing him up. I was going to say Crucible, then thought Gauntlet, and then I finally landed on the Fountain, but we got there in the end. Tribes gaming. Oh, nice core collapse again on starting all over. Nice Fountain as well. Coming out from Playboy Afro, healing them all up. Bloodbath indeed. Game number 2. It's already turning into a feisty one. Playboy Afro almost going into turret. Oh my goodness. Archaic with the snipe onto Status. Mixi running forward though, has got that 4 or 5 HP. Will he be able to chase down starting all over? He's going to get flared out. Playboy Afro and Archaic on the side here. Archaic, he wants the kills. He wants the fight. Everybody is so low. E36, bit too tanky on this Finn, and has polite company as well for the 45 HP. Only 1 kill going over to Hollywood Hammers there. Although, starting all over has found Status, Core Collapse and Heliogenesis do miss, but Crystal Sentry is going to be there to back him up.
Every single player in this game is so bold. Like, what happened there was starting going too deep. It was like, okay, bit much, mate. 1 more turret shot, you're dead. Then, freaking Mixi or whoever it was chases him, even though he nearly dies to Archaic. It's just crazy. It's craziness.
Don't understand what's going on. That was close. Starting all over. Oh, my heart leapt a little bit. Almost went down to the solar flare. As soon as Status hit 6, I was like, I'm going to go in. I'm going to pop it. Bam. Done. Almost took out starting all over. It is madness. It's absolutely insane what's going on. And it's a game that everybody kind of thought, you know what? They're just going to farm. They're just going to scale. They're going to get to the late game where they can blow up a single target, either of these teams. But both these teams have gone, nope, that's not our agenda today. We just want to fight no matter what level. Finn team, what Finn team? We're just going to go in.
Yeah, I mean, the impressive thing is that actually starting Oliver still has fantastic farm. He's hitting over 10 per minute at this point, which is pretty impressive when you're fighting this much and you've died already. On the other side, Mixi not quite hitting that same level of numbers, about 10 behind starting. So he's missed a wave somewhere, perhaps earlier on when he had to be forced back because of the dive that was happening. the wave crashed into the turret and died. That's one thing which is really beneficial about being the aggressors in the early game. You do kind of...
That was a big quibble.
Whoa.
Give me a second. Mixi gets sniped again. Gauntlet comes down as well. Oblivion is not going to sleep anybody. The starting all of it is underneath that turret. Beautiful stun onto Status, but can he get away? He cannot. Double kill for starting. Still tanking that turret. Aggro, one shot, one kill. Makes it the triple kill. Hollywood Hammers coming up, storming through this game. Tribe just look absolutely devastated. They're going to take this second turret as well, unless Mixi can say something about it.
Mixi made a real big misplay there when it came to his positioning. Went way too close to his opponents. You got to realize Glimmer Shots, Malice and Verdicts, they're very good at just taking you down at this point. Oh, starting gets stunned up.
Status still wants this, and he can get it. He can have it with ease. Starting all over ends up falling to a Solar Storm. Archaic does use those boots to get away. Same does Playboy Afro. Breaking point now finished up for starting all over. It's going to do a little bit more damage, but time and time again, it's not going to be a bloodbath like it was last game, AJ, but Status still wants to be in the front line.
Oh, for sure. And when you're chasing down people like starting there who are very low health, you can probably afford to, especially if they're low energy. I mean, starting could fire maybe one Glimmer Shot back at Status, but one Glimmer Shot, not going to take someone down. 4, you could probably 100-0 them. So it's definitely a matter of Status being very calculated there, saying, all right, I know I can get away with this. Not always something he's going to do. But still, yes, very back and forth game. We did see, of course, the turret being taken down by Hollywood Hammers earlier on. So they have pressure on the map. It's about whether or not they can execute on it. Now that E36 is level 6, that could be a little bit more challenging. You've got a forced core to contend with.
I want to see Echo coming out for E36. I know he's got it in him. He can do it. He can get the Echo for double forced accord, I believe. Well, maybe not in this game because of the double range, but I'll have to wait and see. Starting all over is very low, and still the raining down of Heliogenesis will continue, and now Tribe just looking to set up here to take this first turret for themselves. But Hammers, they have got the innate advantage with that Gauntlet being available to Playboy Afro.
Yeah, the Gauntlet does make it very difficult for Tribe to commit to pushing this turret. They really need Status to just pressure him out of range. Although, here
Look at
comes.
those Madison verdicts. Gauntlet is going to come down. Oblivion actually sees 2 targets here. Look at starting all over his positioning. Just dive straight on in there. That big silence does come through from Mixi. And now Hollywood Hammers are on the run. Mixi just dashing forward. Drifting Dark to heal up Archaic. Polite Company and the one-shot, one-kill will come out. Nothing comes of it thus far. Tribe still rotating and retreating here. Hollywood Hammers, they got blinking health bars, but they still want to fight.
Yeah, the difference is Hollywood Hammers has resources to work with. That, energy, they can actually fight. Status really doesn't. So the big source of damage on the side of Tribe can't do anything. Even though, he can be protected quite effectively by the Finn. That being said, Mixi has life stealed up quite a lot. Maybe he can go aggressive. Hammers overextend here. I do think that was a nice attempt, though, by Tribe. Had Mixi been maybe one more item deep, that turnaround he made could have been all it took to win the fight. Similarly, had Status had more energy, E36 almost certainly would have gone for a forced cord towards the end there, while all of Hammers were lower health and gone for a kill. So this really shows you, all right, a bit later in the game, Tribe's going to be looking really good. Because they do need, like, the Eve of Harvest, for example, on Status, to really spike and be able to fight in these extended fights properly.
Yeah, the Eve of Harvest is going to be quite pinnacle to his build. We'll see when he actually wants to actually pick it up, because at this point in the game, we are only 2,000 gold separating both these teams. We are 10 minutes in as well. With that gold miner being taken over to maybe Hammers, if they can take it here, will extend the gold lead, but it's 10 minutes in. There isn't enough gold in general to actually subsidize a lot of these builds. We'll have to wait and see what they want to do. Starting all over, taking chunks out of Status. Now E36 on the wrong side of the wall. Status taking so much damage. One shot, one kill. We'll go a little bit wide, and then we'll leave Hammers maybe just to take up this gold miner eventually. Although E36 has found himself towards the front line. Hasn't got boots either. Has got Crucible and Fountain. 4-5 HP comes from the B ability, but it's not going to be enough. That's going to be a big gauntlet as well. Mixi just gets soloed out completely there, just zoned off from the likes of Hammers. Starting all over, maybe looking for a little flank here. In fact, they're just going to go in. AJ, you're not allowed to speak just yet. Nice Heliogenesis onto Archaic. Oblivion is going to miss Status. There's going to be Mixi just shading up on here. Fountain's not going to be enough for Playboy Afro. Does end up just giving over his laner's life. Starting all over, ends up falling, and now it's going to the long haul chase Playboy Afro down. Those Frostburns doing all too much. Mixie diving forward. Hang on a second, though. E36 almost takes him out. So it's now chasing Archaic away, and he will eventually be able to get underneath his own turret.
You know, you can see that Hammers has really improved from their time in the VG8 where they were struggling a little bit. I do think, though, that they need to start playing a bit more as a team. Like, Starting is making the call to go and get that flank, and he's not fully backed up, and then he kind of got outplayed as well. He didn't really land the skill shots he was looking for. But they are definitely starting to come together as a team. It's just not quite where I want it to be for them to consistently be making plays together, like someone like Team Solomon, for example. That being said, Tribe, really nice capitalizing on those mistakes from Hammers. That was a very nice disengage, a very nice kite. They played with the terrain in the jungle very effectively, and they also played with the expectations of their opponents very nicely. They're Starting all over, had an expectation that they were going to try and group up, kite around the sentry. Surprise, Mixie is actually on the other side of that wall going back towards the base. I think it's perfectly reasonable for Starting all over to never predict that, because why wouldn't you fight on your sentry when you know you're getting pushed, right? You know that Starting all over is coming.
Next level mind games, that's what it is. Tribe, they're coming in to just contest this gold mine, and now nice core collapse onto two people. Heliogenesis rips through them. Solar Storm as well is going to execute one. Starting all over, bites the dust. That gold miner will go over to Tribe. You can imagine, unless the miracle still comes through, 300 gold each for the Tribe members, and they'll be very, very happy with that trade.
Yeah, that was a nice trade for them. Tribe definitely starting to build a lot of momentum off the back of the fight before that and picking up the gold miner there. Again, I want to see a bit more coordination out of Hammers. I think they've got the ability to make these fights work right now. They don't need to scale more, but they have to position effectively. They have to go for the right target. They have to work together. Currently, you know, for example, let's take a look at some of the gauntlets from Playboy Afro. Very aggressive, right? You're leaving your teammates like a screen behind. You have to go together. You've got to be in good position. So, Hammers, again, still quite strong. In fact, the gold's still dead even, but it's all about how you execute the fights.
That's what it's going to come down to. How you actually engage them is the big pinnacle and critical point of these team fights. Playboy Afro has done a good job with the gauntlets thus far. Bolster cords are never really going to hit if they have vision of E36, so that's something to keep in mind. Now it is all on Hollywood Hammers. They have got the ability to siege as well, but again, the counter siege coming out from Tribe is massive there as well. It's really how the engage tool, I think, from Playboy Afro is actually used. Coupled that up with the Oblivion can make one devastating combo, but at the moment, Mixie overextending a little bit, starting all over, dodging out. It's going to have a hard time against Celeste, trying to actually just poke this turret down.
This isn't the way that you siege against Celeste, because Starting's range is just lower. He can't get... Look at this. Like, every time he tries to move forward...
Forced to Gauntlet to two people. Hang on a second. I said it would never hit, and it does. Gauntlet is going to come down as well. Nice sleep onto Status. Just get out. It's alive. Fountain's going to come out to heal him up. Big Solar Storm onto three members of Hollywood Hammers. They're going to have to back off. Mixie just refusing to let them go for free, though. Drifting dark away for Archaic will heal him up a fair bit. Now Starting all over, misses the dodges out of the quibble, I should say. Mr. Deek is just going to walk up to him and just completely go down. Mixie falls, E36 to follow. Hollywood Hammers, they're going to walk down this lane. Status can't do much. No energy, no HP, has to return to base.
You know, I was already starting to think about what I wanted to break down after that fight about halfway through it, and I was about to make the point that I've never seen Starting all over miss so many glimmer shots. But then, he landed like 4 in a row that actually won them the fight. So, yeah, fair enough. You can't hit them all. That was critical, though. You know, had Starting all over continued to miss shots for that fight, you know, because through the first half, I think he maybe hit one, specifically the first one, onto Status, which made me think they had the fight. It would have not been good. So, yeah. Really nice.
Oh my goodness, it happened. I wasn't going to say anything, but a resonance bounce just actually stole the Kraken.
Oh,
never in the history
That's
of
like 50 damage.
Oh,
it's like 50 damage at max rank. That
head
should
in
not
my
happen.
hands right now, AJ. Tribe Gaming steal the Kraken with a resonance bounce. One shot, one kill was coming out as well. You just need to tell your team to burst it. Just burst it down.
My God. They did. They used one shot to burst it down. They did it exactly right. It's just one of those things. It happens sometimes.
Oh,
Shouldn't,
not in
but
these
it does.
pro games. Core collapse on starting all over. He's still trying to kite around. E36 activates the war treads to get a bit of distance. Here we go. Here's the fight. E36 on the front line. Gauntlet's going to get laid down bare. Mixi's going to block that one up nice and proper. Can they make anything else more happen? They need to just rotate down to this Kraken, though, because it is just chewing up their base. Hollywood Hammers, they may have lost the Kraken, but they have not lost the war. Mixi decides he wants to go in on this one. Beautiful Solar Storm actually on starting all over. Those Glimmer Shots still raining down, but that's going to be 2 turrets for the price of a Kraken there over and the advantage of Tribe Gaming.
You know, the thing is as well, you can't even, say to Mixi, man, what a... come on, he did not intend for that. He did not. He wasn't even attacking it with weapon. If you're a weapon and you're trying to steal it, you attack it, not something else, it's a bounce which got it, I think. So, yeah, that was pretty gnarly. Mixi's got to be counting as lucky stars right now, though. He's got a few of them on his team with status on that Celeste. Hammers, that's brutal. You know, you've just made real strides. You've just picked up one of these fights that was so critical, the one we were talking about earlier on. It suddenly backfires immediately. That's the kind of thing which sends you overboard in some situations, tilt-wise. They are a team that used to have emotional, very emotional responses to a lot of these situations we'd see starting all over, really just, fall apart in games that weren't going well. Let's see if he's worked on that enough here, because this is a game where he's going to be tried for it.
Look at his aggressive positioning. He's just autoing down Mixi at this point. Oblivion's going to come out. He's actually going to sleep one. This could be really critical. Look at his HP bar. It's going to go down. There comes the Gauntlet to separate them. One falls. Quibble on to starting all over, but E36 has got no damage to follow that up with. Mixi in a 1v1 with Archaic. Archaic just kites back. 1, 2, 3 auto attack finishes him off. Mixi still really low, trying to heal up on that poison shiv. E36 is going to get chased out as well, starting all over. He's got the Vanguard. The minions were chunking him out a fair bit, though. Active camo does get activated. And now Playboy Afro is just going to get run down. Leave your support. Here we go. Starting all over goes in. Can he find the shots, though? He needs to hit at least a couple. Active camo, son. Is it going to be enough? Goes into camo again. Trades 1 for 1. 2 supports left. Captain versus captain now. E36 and Playboy Afro a bit adieu to each other. That team fight was so crazy, but it ended up to 2 for 2.
Dude, you know what's really... Okay, so I actually really like the idea to go for the play, but you have to wait a little bit longer, and you have to go a little bit further back before you go in. The reason being that Polite Company reveals you from stealth, and I think starting all over might have forgotten that for a split second. Then he realized, and he was like, oh no, this is going to go horribly wrong. It nearly did. At least they traded. But man, that's one of the most frustrating things if you're playing Kestrel in that situation. You're trying to make a sneaky play happen. It's so easy for him to not even try, but just to reveal you.
He was like, hold my drink, boys. I'm going in. I've got a sneaky play with active camo. Oh, active nothing anymore. As I get... Oh, man. Polite Company, hell of an ability. Especially as it gives a fortified HP to all the tribe's members as well in these team fights. It stops a lot of that burst damage and burst potential that does come out from starting all over. Something that we haven't really touched on at all is the vision either. There's a lot of vision down with Hollywood Hammers now. You can see the scout traps littering the map. Tribe Gaming have none of the sort. They go traps. What are traps? We've only got flares.
All right, I'm just trying to think about how you really break this game open if you're Hammers. I feel like maybe you just have to commit with a Gauntlet. Because the thing is, he really can't afford to play around the edges of the fights. He's weapon. He doesn't have a long enough stealth. Gets revealed very easily by a lot of things, and on top of that, his range is just so much lower. Oh, here comes E36.
Oh, he's starting. Polite Company into the Quibble. 2-man stun. 3-man Oblivion is going to get blocked. Forced to Cord, block 2. Solar Storm 1 to 2. There we go. Gauntlet gets laid down. E36 in the front line. They need to get Mystique, though. Look at the back line. Mixi just running them down, but now he's isolated himself. Oh, lonesome is that Vox. Fountain to heal them all up. Status now just completely surrounded by 3 members of Hollywood Hammers. The stars are in the rise now, AJ, as I lost my words. An ace comes through for Hollywood Hammers, and they're just going to run it down the base, and they're going to run down that lane. Kraken still on the board for them as well for the taking. This game is again going in Hollywood Hammers' favors during the late game. Afro chunking up those turrets. This might just be the end. Are they just going to finish on this one?
I think they are, Jaws. Mixi went way too aggressive in the mid-stage of that fight. on top of that, no one was able to actually kill the damage threats whilst E36 was the main focus from
Well,
Hammers.
one turret falls, two turret falls. They're just going to take the series. That crystal is going to crack. And there go Tribe. Their Tribe has been disbanded, and the Hollywood Hammers have their star on the Hall of Fame, or the Walk of Fame, I should say. What a fantastically well-played game by them. Defeated Immortals, and now defeating Tribe, setting themselves up
To be
the rest
clear,
of the few days.
both of these teams have more games to play. But I do think Hammers, they're in a great spot right now. They've already picked up 2 series in total, right? So really, really looking strong. They beat Immortals, one of the best teams in the entire challenge battles. Tribe, on the other hand, put up a good fight. I think things look optimistic for them in some of their other games. But at the same time, massive, massive props to Hammers. I don't think anyone saw this performance coming.
Hammers did a wonderful job, and 2-0s all round, and that will be us, or at least mine and AJ's time. And now at Munch, you guys can take that away to break down that last series.
Thank you very much, guys. Hammers managing to take it in the end. It's a 2-0 victory for them. Starting all over, having, honestly, a pretty terrible first season in the Vainglory8, and then suddenly, he's just come back for the challenge battles, and he has been on fire. Our